right, Jen Brennan out in Newtown. We've done some landscaping work for her in the past. So the scope of work today will be front and backyard. It's kind of just like a general cleanup of the beds, a couple different various items. So starting here in the back corner, I would say, before I get into it, but there's not like massive amount of work to do here, but just by working with her in the past and kind of walking with her, she is kind of like higher attention to detail. So definitely like take your time with this one. Try to really focus on the details, because like I said, it's not that there's a massive amount of work, so we need to really pay attention to details to make sure that we're showing a difference in the work that's done, type of thing. Anyway, so starting here in the back corner, so general weeding out of all the beds and kind of a cleanup. We did do mulch for previously, so it's not like it's terrible or anything, but you can kind of see there's a little bit of weeds popping through. I would say after you weed it, maybe even like turn the mulch over a little bit with a rake, because you kind of have like grass in the beds from whoever mows. So if we kind of like just turn the mulch over, that'll help make it look a little cleaner in this area. So you can leave that growth, but then this little grassy stuff you can weed out. And then this area right here, we're actually going to bring in probably like just 2 buckets worth of riverjack, 1 inch to 3 inch stone. This is like the drain washout. You can see what the mulch is doing. It's kind of washing out. So instead of doing mulch, we're going to try some riverjack stone, just again like 2 buckets worth, basically just in this section where you see that the mulch got washed out. And then, you know, continue with your weeding. Got all this like grassy stuff comes out, leave that as a plant. All this grassy right here you can pull out, a light rake out and clean up of the beds. You know, again, not terrible, but any weeds you're seeing, kind of pull them out, clean them up. What I say too is we're gonna try, and I told her we don't really do this, but we can try it out for her, is we'll buy a bottle of Scott's. It's like kills the weeds, not the grass, and they treat the yard themselves with just like a granular. But what we can do is walk around and spot spray. Basically, you got these like clover weed things. I've noticed them. Don't worry about the entire yard, I'm not going to put it on for that, but basically the perimeter of the yard, you'll see them a little bit in the front as well. You can see these little like clovery things. I actually think maybe when he's spreading, he's not spreading by the edges too much. But anyway, spot spray, just, you know, lightly spray all this stuff with that bottle. You know, and you'll kind of see some of that going on along the fence line as well. And then this area where there's like grass, I would just pull the large weeds and then spot spray some of the smaller stuff. And we can even maybe, this little spot used to be a garden bed, but now it's not, and they just get a lot of weeds. Maybe we even throw a little bit of seed down for them. Told them probably more so in the fall we'll really take care of this, but in the interim we can kind of weed out the area and kind of spot spray some of the stuff around here. Spot spray some of the weeds growing along the fence line. So I would just walk along and kind of spot spray it all. All right, so moving over to here, so you see she's got a little bit of leaves down, and then she's got like some pine needles and stuff growing along the fence. I would just take the blower, start over there, and just kind of blow, clean up the fence line, and then clean up these leaves, try to get them excuse me, try to get them somewhat into a pile. Again, there's not a ton of them, but, and then kind of go through this area. You'll see there's just kind of like small sticks from this tree. We did this before, a bunch of small sticks all in this rock area. So the other thing we'll do with this rock area is come in with a blower, probably 770 is probably fine, but or the big boy, whatever. But I would just blow these rocks. So there's like a lot of like, you know, leaves and sticks and stuff like that in these rocks all along here. So just blow them, blow them really good. Try to clean them up a little bit with a blower. You know, blow it out into the yard. Blow all this stuff kind of into a pile and try to clean it up the best you can. And then what I said we can do also, because she said a lot of times growth starts to come through, you can see a couple weeds slowly peeking through, is we can sprinkle some preen throughout all these rocks here and then spray. Now when you do spray, we don't want to spray near the plants, but this general area you can spray. You don't even got to go nuts with it, just trying to help prevent growth from coming up through the rocks. All right, and then moving back over to this bed, I was talking about it prior, but basically just weeding out the beds. You'll see there's like a tomato plant randomly growing in here, she said. Just completely rip that out and get rid of it. And then all the leaves, you know, kind of rake them out, clean them out. Any sticks in the beds, rake them out. Any weeds, pull them. Yeah, light clean up here. You know, like the weeds aren't too bad at the moment. A little bit of growth growing in the rocks here, if you can pull that out. And then clean up the rocks here, same thing, kind of blow it. The other thing I'm going to price her for, and this will happen later in the fall, is trimming the back of these green giants. So, you know, she's nervous that it's too close to the fence line, so I told her what we can do is just kind of like trim the back to give it some clearance from the fence. Don't gotta go bonkers with it, but just like a light trimming to give it some clearance from the fence. So as it grows, there's always a little bit of a gap so that it doesn't grow into the fence. So continue to weed. Any weeds that you see, kind of rake out of the beds. Also spot spray some of the weeds in here with that spot spray. So any weeds out in here you can clean up. We're going to price this as well in the fall, is a transport of this plant. So I'll put that on there. We'll worry about that later in the fall to take care of. Clean up of your beds, just kind of blowing them out, raking them out. Weeds don't look too bad in any of this, but you got a lot of droppings from this tree. A couple weeds here, so just come through, blow it, kind of lightly rake it, and then kind of turn over the mulch, pull any of the weeds. And then moving over here, so this bed, the ground ivy, gonna keep the darker green ground ivy, but then the growth that's kind of coming through like this, any of the taller stuff, we want to kind of pull that out, and then also take your hedge string trimmer, kind of give it that manicured look, kind of clean it up around here. General cleanup of the beds, any leaves you can clean up. Moving over to here, similar type of thing. So kind of edge it along the rock to give it a little bit of an edge. Lightly manicure the ground cover. Any sticks and such in there you can pull out. Any weeds in the front you can pull out. And then here's what I was talking about spot spraying. You see these little clover weeds kind of growing, really like around the perimeters. So spray all them. Rake out of these beds. There's some leaves and debris and droppings in there. Can rake that out. Some of the dormant stuff you can pull out. Some of the stuff you can pull out. Alright, moving over to here, and then we're wrapping up here. Could do a light pruning and shaping of this. I don't think we need to do any trimming over here. The only thing I would say is that vine that's growing on this bush. You can see. Yeah, pull this vine off completely, and then this might need a light prune. Can't really see the bush, but if you pull that vine off, you might be able to tell. I think it's grown over there too if you want to rip it out. And then just general light cleanup of the beds, and then lastly would be spot spraying. This is that same type of like clover weed with that Scott spray, kind of spraying that area. And that's it. Definitely check out her before leaving, and that's it.